Welcome to MarcusG.TV. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano.
And Jamie.
We are continuing our series, 10 American foods, 10 U.S. foods that are banned in other countries. The list came from eatlocal.com. The original author is Dr. Mercola. So on the bottom of it, it's lists Dr. Mercola. I really like what Dr. Mercola does. I think he's a great advocate for holistic alternative health, and he's great at educating people. I might not agree with 100% of what he says. I practice a plant-based diet. He recommends meat. But it's really interesting because the amount of meat that he recommends
is small, right?
Is extremely small. He admits he only eats like 6 ounces a week. So don't think that he's, a high protein, paleo guy like that or something, that he's all about the protein. If you look at all these successful doctors, whether they're vegan, vegetarian, Weston Price, there's a lot of common denominators in these diets. And the one thing is fresh fruits, fresh veggies, and lots of water, right? Unprocessed food. So the more common denominators you find, then that's what you should be eating, the common denominators of all these diets. So we're continuing this, and we're on to
number 3.
Number 3, which really is not a food, it's a drug, but it's on the list.
Ractopamine-tainted meat.
Yes, it's a hard one to pronounce. Ractopamine. I don't even know if that's correct. I've been pronouncing it like that for a couple years, so.
Ractopamine, yes. The beta agonist drug ractopamine, a repartitioning agent that increases protein synthesis, was recruited for livestock use when researchers found that the drug used in asthma made mice more muscular.
Yes. Now, they're not saying when they started doing this, but this was just recently approved, I want to say within the last 3 to 4 years. Because I remember it was like February of 2010, 2011, 2010 maybe, and I saw the article come out. And I immediately went to the pharmacist down the street, to our independent local pharmacist, and I said, what do you know about this drug? And he did some research for me. He told me it was a pretty nasty drug.
Interesting. So this reduces the overall fat content of the meat. So actually putting this drug into the meat, right, reduces the fat content of the meat.
It reduces the fat content because it's causing swelling. So you're increasing the volume of the muscles.
Right, so they're becoming more muscular, but it's taking away the fat and forming muscle.
Well, I don't know if it's taking away the fat, but the overall volume.
It's reducing.
The overall volume's more.
Okay.
So if you have more volume and the fat's still the same, it's less fat. They might mean it like that. I don't know if it's a fat burner.
Okay.
I think it might just be that there's more. I mean, the muscles swell drastically is what happens.
So ractopamine is currently used in about 45% of U.S. pigs, 30% of ration-fed cattle, and an unknown percentage of turkeys are pumped full of this drug in the days leading up to slaughter. Up to 20% of ractopamine remains in the meat you buy from the supermarket, according to veterinarian Michael W. Wolf.
Okay, so now here's the thing. Certain drugs they administer to the cattle, to the livestock, and they wean them as the days go on towards processing. This drug, they actually pump it up at the end because that's when you get the effects of the swelling. So
they get more yield out of it probably, right? They get more money because it's
more volume, more yield. But it's more drugs, more residual drugs in the meat that you're eating.
Right, so 20% remains in the meat.
20% remains in the meat. So you're taking this, you're ingesting this. So here's the issue. It's not something that they're weaning the cattle off of, or it's something they're feeding in the beginning. This is at the end. It's in full effect. It's in the bloodstream. It's in the cattle. It's in the muscle of the meat, because that's where it's
going. What you're eating, you are getting ractopamine.
You are getting it. Now, where's it banned, Jamie?
So it's banned in 160 countries across Europe, Russia, mainland China, and the Republic of China, which is Taiwan.
160
countries.
So it's not like saying, oh, okay, this one country's banning it.
Right.
No, 160 countries have felt that this is not a safe product.
But the U.S. feels it's safe.
The U.S. feels it's safe.
Since 1998, more than 1,700 people have been poisoned from eating pigs fed the drug. And ractopamine is banned from use in food animals in no less than 160 different countries due to its harmful health effects.
So let's break that down. Since 1998, people might say, well, 1,700 is not a lot. You have to say that once they found that it was poisoning people, people were getting sick, they stopped it. So it hasn't been used in years. If it had continued to be used, that number would be much, much more elevated, is what that would be. But since these countries realized it was getting you sick, they stopped using it. So I'm not sure how long of a period that 1700 actually encompasses. Right. It could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. It's not definitely the last 15 years. So don't look at it and say, oh, only 1998. That was 17 years ago, whatever. There's not many people been sick. That's wrong. These countries banned it. They figured it was not working.
7 years ago. Oh no, 17 years ago.
17.
You're right. Effective February 11, 2013, Russia issued a ban on U.S. meat imports, slated to last until the U.S. agrees to certify that the meat is ractopamine-free. At present, the U.S. does not even test for the presence of the drug in meat sold. In animals, ractopamine is linked to reduction in reproductive function, increase of metastasis in dairy herds, and increased death and disability. It's also known to affect the human cardiovascular system and is thought to be responsible for hyperactivity and may cause chromosomal abnormalities and behavioral changes. So all of those things, but it's still safe for us to eat.
It's still safe for us to eat. And the reason
why... So
that
was found in animals. So isn't it sometimes worse in humans, or...
Well, see, here's the thing. They're finding this in the animals. I'm not sure what legitimate testing they're doing in the animals. Now, keep in mind, animals have a much shorter life expectancy than us. And if they're putting it in the cattle within a month, 2 weeks before processing, you're not going to see the full effects of using this drug through 2-3 generations, right? Through 10 years of a dairy cattle. This drug is going into the animals to get more yield in the processing plant. It's not something that you give it from day one where you can follow the life of the animal.
And it sounds like they're also trying to reduce the fat, so they're trying to make it more meaty and, right, more yield.
I think it's just a side effect.
Okay.
The fat reduction, I don't think they're purposely trying to reduce the fat.
Okay.
That's
just what happens.
I just believe that the muscle is swelling, like I said, and the fat, there's less fat per volume. Same amount of fat, but less fat, as I believe. Don't quote me on it, but that's what it sounds like from what I understand this drug does. But, I mean, it's amazing, and the reason why is because, again, big industry has their money in legislation. They have their money, they lobby, and there's a group out there called ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council, which is more than lobbyists. They're lobbyists on steroids. They're the biggest, most powerful companies and industries in America that meet together, they write legislation, and they hand the legislation off to all your state representatives that get paid from them, kickbacks, that receive incentives from them, college education for their kids, vacations, all these things. ALEC, A-L-E-C, look it up, American Legislative Exchange Council. So somebody like Monsanto, who would be a member of that, will write their own legislation.
Right, to make it look good for them.
They write their own legislation and then hand it off to a state representative and say, here's what we need passed, and here's your vacation. Here's your kid's college fund. Here's whatever. And so you can go to alecexposed.org and see your state reps that are actually in bed with ALEC. And laws like that gets passed because this is all special interest money. It has nothing to do with public safety. It has nothing to do with the FDA, the USDA, the CDC. It has nothing to do with these people. It's all special interest money. This is democracy at its finest. When you think you're voting for a senator, a congressman, a president, whatever you think you're voting for, the way you really vote is by stopping these corporations, by banning these corporations, by not exercising to purchase from Walmart, from Monsanto, from Diageo, from these companies. That's the only way you can vote, is by you take their money, you take their power. And people think, oh, I'm voting, you must vote, it's American right. Well, every day people vote with their wallets, and they abuse that privilege. They abuse that privilege every single day when they vote for a company that is undermining our health and our environment at the cost of corporate profits. That's the bottom line.
So how can you be sure you're not getting meat that has been tainted?
Go to a farmer's market. Go to a farmer's market.
What kind of meat are you looking for?
Go buy grass-fed meat.
Okay.
At a farmer's market.
How about local meat? Do you think they're using it in a lot of local meats?
No,
in your area.
This is something.
This is a big corporation.
This is something for big corporate mentality.
Okay.
Okay, this is something.
But you should still ask, right?
You should ask, and the farmer might know and say, "Hey, I know about this drug, and of course I would never use it. It would be ridiculous."
Or I don't know about it.
or I don't know about it. Or you might say, oh yeah, there are some people in our area that are using that, but we would never use it. You know, ask. Just the more questions, the more dialogue you can come up with your farmer, that's the best option. Okay, so you want to go to a farmer's market, you want to go to a store where that is selling, and we have some great stores in the Hudson Valley that's selling local grass-fed meat, local whatever, organic grass-fed, local beef, and see the farm. Look on the website the farm, call the farm, ask questions, you know, make sure that the farm, that it's their cattle, that they're raising the cattle. Because a lot of these things you go to in the store and you buy like, oh, hormone-free, antibiotic-free, and it's a brand name. It's not the farm's name. What this means is this company, this processor, is buying from 100 farms,
right.
500 farms, 5,000 farms. Like Tyson buys from 7,000 farms. So whether Tyson puts a label out there that says hormone and antibiotic free, it's never on their farm. It's on 7,000 people's farms that they contract out with, and you have no control. They might sign affidavits, they might do this, it might be better than their other line, but you have no control. These cattle are being moved around, these chickens, it's all being moved around and manipulated, and you know, they go to auctions and they come out and you buy from a small farmer who has the cattle himself, who does the processing, who ships it to his own processor,
right.
does his own marketing, things like that. There are certain co-ops that are good, that are better. But you have to keep in mind, when you go to a store sometimes, those are brand names. It's a brand, it's not a farm.
Okay.
Deal with the farm. That's your best way. Go visit the farm, understand what's going on at the farm. And you know what? Buy enough meat for the year, freeze it, so you're not going to the store every day and buying burger meat, so you're eating burgers 5 times a week, right? Or your pot roast. When you buy an animal, you have a certain amount of cuts, and so you know, hey, I only have 80 burgers for the year, 50 burgers for the year. I only have 1 tenderloin for the year, and try to ration your consumption for that amount of time.
Right.
You know, that's the best way to do it. Instead of just going to the store and just keep buying and buying and buying and buying, you'll find that you will consume less meat. Of course, I am an advocate for consuming less meat. We do serve meat at our restaurant. We do serve grass-fed meat. But I am an advocate for less meat consumption, and there is a great video online of why our restaurant's not vegan, but how we've turned a lot of people vegan coming into our restaurant because they come and think they're eating meat, and they come have a great vegetarian meal and say, oh wow, this is good.
Right.
I didn't know this. Or they have dessert without all the cholesterol and the dairy products and things like that. So that was an interesting video we made. So yeah, Ractopamine
Tainted meat is number 3 on the list.
Number
of
3.
10.
Stay tuned for more videos. Check out chefonamission.com. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano.
And Jamie.
Thanks for watching, and definitely like, subscribe.
Click like.
Hit us up with some questions. Thanks for watching.